Hello, everybody. I'm here in the JNC Lounge, joined by our good friend Jo Neeson, who is running for Martin County Commissioner, District 1. She's a Martin County native, a staple of the local Martin County community, a veteran of the United States Air Force, and has a tireless history of environmentalism with a major focus on clean water. So, Jo, thanks for meeting up with me to chat a little bit about your goals as a Martin County Commissioner. How you doing today?
Well, thanks for having me. This is a very cool studio, man. I'm telling you, I've been watching you on your podcast for a while, and I'm going to start coming up and doing it in person because this is a cool place to chill out.
Yeah, we love the lounge. This is now that everybody's kind of working from home and whatnot, including my girlfriend. I've been shunned from the house, and now my office is out here in the lounge. I could think of worse offices.
No kidding. If you just had a pool or beachside, it would be perfect.
Hey, stranger things have happened. I'm prepared. I'm prepared for anything. You're running for county commissioner in Martin County for District 1. I know that is near and dear to your heart because you're a Jensen Beach native, as we mentioned. And what possessed you to decide to run? Because running for political office is crazy. You have to be either really passionate about something or maybe crazy. I don't know. Maybe a little of both.
Well, I think it started out as passion, but now I'm starting to feel pretty crazy.
No doubt.
Actually, I didn't want to run. I spent like almost the last year trying to find somebody that was qualified that wanted to get into the race, that wanted to start asking some hard questions and changing the direction Martin County's going in. And nobody wanted to do it, surprisingly enough.
Surprise, surprise.
And at the last minute, I thought about it and I prayed about it. And I looked around and I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I don't have any family. I've got one nephew that doesn't care how ridiculous I get. So there's nobody that's going to be embarrassed. There's nobody going to be dragged through the mud. And I have a lot of stuff that I'm really passionate about that I'd like to see get done. So I decided to jump in. And worst case scenario, we're going to have some tough questions and we're going to have to listen to get some answers for the first time in decades.
I know that one of your biggest reasons for getting involved anyway is clean water. Yeah. And we worked together last year on the Dirty River Jam in Jensen, which was a super cool event that you had kind of resurrected with help, of course, but to benefit the Friends of the Everglades, to get that working. And that was a cool time for me to get involved with you working on these projects, because it's not something that I've dived into. But one thing that you had mentioned to me during that time that really resonated was that regardless of party lines in philosophy in that way, the one thing that we can all agree on as human beings is the need for clean water. And that really resonated. So I was completely on board with your whole campaign at that point. And of course, now getting to talk to you more about it and working on getting you in a position where you can really make a change, at least for Martin County.
Well, it's definitely one of my passions. Excuse me. I mean, I grew up here. I surfed before I got old and fat, and I dive and I fish and I snorkel and I kayak, and the water's important to me, very important to me. The drinking water is one of the main reasons I stay where I'm at in Jensen Beach. Is I've got an artesian well, so I still got the same water that I drank when I was a kid, and it's very, very important. It's important for our health. I mean, we've proven that toxic algae, it causes ALS, and the studies are coming, and I'm sure before I die, you'll know that it also causes Alzheimer's and dementia, and so those are projects that I was able to work on by being associated with river issues. It's just so important to make sure that we have clean water and that we protect our future. And that's our big economy too. I mean, it used to be just general tourism was our biggest economic impactor, but now sport fishing has just kind of taken off. We've got one of the best sport fishing places in the world.
Massive, yeah.
I mean, we're just pretty close to Costa Rica for sailfish catching,
Yeah.
And our water is beautiful, not as beautiful as when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we had finger water inlets all up and down the island, and there was nothing out there. And the lagoon was just like Bahamian water.
Right,
It
crystal
was,
clear.
and so much conch. I mean, we did our driveway with crushed up conch shells. But it's important that, you know, I've been involved in the Senate subcommittee meetings. I go to the RAC meetings. I go to the WRDA meetings. You know, I'm in on all the conversations. I go to South Florida Water Management District meetings, and I try to hold people's feet to the fire and talk to them. You know, being just a river warrior and not being in a political position to be able to actually accomplish anything.
Right.
I just try to keep people motivated because there's power in numbers, and you know, the more people know, the more they want to help.
Absolutely. How can you not agree with wanting clean water? And what's going to need to happen is the change from the top down. So getting into that position would definitely be a strong place to be.
Well, at the local level, what the county can do, and you know, most of it is federal and state level to be able to accomplish the big things. But the biggest thing is individual responsibility. You know, we need to start telling people that you not only shouldn't you use fertilizer, you can't use fertilizer. You know, and not only shouldn't you use certain pesticides, you can't. You know, I mean, if people aren't going to be smart enough to listen to our suggestions, as much as I hate government overreach, I don't want to be mandated to do anything. I mean, I'm a cracker. I don't like being told what to do, but we have to do something because all of that impacts our waterways. And Martin County, one of the reasons I love this place is we are one of the most environmentally friendly places on the planet. Our kids grow up knowing you don't walk past a piece of trash.
Right.
And when you go to the beach, you take everything that you found that was there that wasn't supposed to be with you.
Right.
Or you
even if it wasn't yours.
Oh, yeah.
You scoop it and put it in the trash.
That's
Absolutely.
it. And I think that's why it's so frustrating when we get people that come from other places and they come here because of the beauty that we've built and worked our lives for, and they completely pee all over it. You know, it's like they leave their trash everywhere, and they overuse fertilizers and they use Roundup, and you know, they don't care. And you know, if you don't care, go someplace else. You know, go back and mess up your house. Leave our house alone.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. And one of the things that I read on your website, which is a great resource to find out anything about how you're running and your philosophies on things, that's joneeson.com. Check it out.
Yeah. A shout out to John Wind. He's been it's just a 2-person show on this campaign.
Nice.
And he did everything with that. So thank you, John.
Good. Yeah, it looks great. And it is very easy to access, very easy to see all the information there. One of the things that I read on clean water is doing or getting people's behaviors to change through education. Education forums. You also mentioned county-sponsored beach and waterway cleanups, which I think is great. And also educational materials in the schools, which is, I'm a big proponent of education anyway. I think the only way to change behavior is to educate people in a way that isn't, I'm going to tell you what to do. You know, let them think for themselves and think the correct way.
The best way I've found to educate people is to get them to find something they love and then tell them how they can help it. Because if you love it, you're going to take care of it. And we've got a pretty good program in the second grade programs second grade classes in Martin County. It's sponsored by Rivers Coalition, and it's the River Kids workbook.
Nice.
And so our kids are raised, you know, to be environmentally sensitive, and you know, and that's important, and we have to keep that going. And that's, you know, the Dirty River Jam, which actually started as a River Palooza with Megan Remick and Darcy Flero and Michelle Ritchie. Those girls did the first one. I was just on the back seat on that, and then the next year we recycled it and started the Dirty River Jams, and we've actually done 3 of them. And I've been lucky enough to be the event coordinator on all of them. And we do that for awareness. You know, we make a little bit of money for somebody, you know, whoever we pick for that particular event.
Right.
But the main thing is we've got all kinds of people out there teaching people and getting involved in understanding that, you know, you were there.
Right.
Every musician pushes the water issue from up on the stage. You know, it's not a gig to you guys.
Right.
To you guys, it's actually, hey, this is a chance for me to be able to help this.
Exactly.
And so it's a great resource, and I'm hoping that somebody will want to do it again. I'm not sure I have it left in me, but I'd be happy to help.
No doubt. You got your plate full. And you know, of course, with COVID, it's a thing. It's like a dirty word sometimes, but we bring it up. You know, events have changed and things like that. But I hope we're able to evolve the Dirty River Jam, because I think it's an important local event to show, to, like you said, give awareness to people that might not think about it because they live inland. It affects everybody, but they don't live right off the lagoon, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like out of sight, out of mind, and it shouldn't be. It should be a reminder all the time. And events like that are ways to do it. And education in our schools and in ways to learn, getting involved in beach cleanups, which I think who wouldn't want to go and spend a day on the beach and do something good?
We've got our 13th or 14th National Beachwater Cleanup coming the 25th of this month, and I've been to like the last 13. So
no kidding.
Yeah,
that's coming at the 25th.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to put that on the calendar. We might have to.
Oh, it's fun. You can do it by boat, or you can do it by car, or by walking around, whatever you want to do. But you just gather up trash, and everybody, we try to find who's got the coolest piece of trash. and the TC Trash Art. I'm gonna give a shout out to them while I got a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, those girls are the bomb. They go out every single day, these two women, and they pick up trash, and you got to go to their page. The stuff they make with it is mind-blowing art. It's just phenomenal.
No I do remember they had a little display at the Dirty River Jam last year.
Juggies, yeah. Yep. They had their juggies.
It was very
there.
cool.
Oh, man, these people are so talented, and it's such a great tool for awareness, and then they're very involved, and they've got the kids involved. We actually did an entire Christmas float this year made out of garbage, and we won first place.
As you should. It's mind-blowing to know that you could create a whole float out of trash that you find on the beach or around the waterways. It's unbelievable. It really is.
So you can build cities with the trash that we find.
No doubt. No doubt. So obviously that's a massive issue, and I'm really glad that you tackle it anyway, but that you're bringing that into your campaign and would bring that into your commissioner position. Very, very cool. A second thing that resonated with me was addressing the homelessness issue in Martin County. It's a real thing, and I think everyone, I believe, knows that it exists, but I don't think to the extent, and to the point where we have a tent city, just by Walmart out there off of US 1. This is a colony of people.
We have several tent cities.
Yeah, that's the big one that I know of, but that doesn't surprise me at all that there are many. And you actually was a founder, or were a founder of Tent City Helpers, along with our good friend Tony Solomon,
and his wife Stacy.
And his wife Stacy, absolutely. And we had him on the show a few months ago, and we talked a little bit about that, and what a important initiative for Martin County and those people that are living out there. I have a very good friend who lived there, and now he's doing great. And in no small part to Tent City Helpers, and now he's got a little family and everything.
In a couple of years, we've got our 501c3. We've got a whole new group that's running it now. Tony and I are kind of out of it. It was interesting the way it started. I used to own the hot dog stand over in Jensen Beach, Fredgie's. And I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. It's just one of those things I do. I knew all the homeless guys because, they hung out. So I'd give them something to do and give them some hot dogs. And, when it would get bad, they'd come crash on my floor. And when they stunk too much, I'd let them give a shower, And so I just kind of took care of them in my own way. And then I started working with Guy Calvert over at Jensen Beach Christian Church. And he was very well informed and knew a lot of them, so we started working together, and he'd give cards out to guys and he'd go, "Hey, go see Jo, she'll get you some food." And so we started hooking up, and then one day right before Christmas, our good friend Tony Solomon calls me up, and he says, I won't tell you exactly what he called me, but he said I my son and I were going looking for wood for the fire, and we walked over by the Walmart over there in Stewart, and we saw a guy come out of the woods and go back in. So we went to check out where he was. He goes, "Man, there's like people living in tents in there."
Right.
And I was going, "Oh yeah, man." I said, "We got that down here too, over behind Publix, up in the sugar sand before they built all those houses."
Oh yeah.
That was a real displacement for our homeless guys when that went. And so he said, "Well, what are we going to do?" And I said, "Well, let's go find these guys." So we went out and we just started trucking through all of the woods until we started finding camps and figuring out who was there. And it's an interesting dynamic, because they set up their own little communities and they take care of themselves and they protect the women and the kids that are there, and they make sure the kids get to school, which is primarily where they get their meals until so the school being closed is a real problem.
That is a problem. And
we just started working at it, and social media. Thank God for social media. We were able to get more and more assistance, and it's just grown, and they became incorporated. And it was weird because my friend Jeannie, who's struggling with cancer in the hospital right now. Shout out to Jeannie. We were sitting over at Harper's one day, and I said, I'm going to do a big chili cook because it's supposed to be cold this weekend. I'm going to go over the causeway and feed people. You want to go? About 3 more people came over, and man, we had massive amounts of food, and we probably fed about 20 people or something.
It's awesome.
And it was crazy because without any communication between myself and Tony and these other people, that very same Monday at exactly 4:30, they were over in Port Salerno at Wojciech Park doing the exact same thing. They had the exact same menu. It was bizarre.
No kidding.
And so our Monday night dinner started there, and from there came Tent City Helpers. So it was cool. And I mentioned Jensen Beach Christian Church. We Guy and I work together, and we do all the funerals and stuff for any homeless guys that end up, or any family that ends up in a situation like that. And we got the food pantry over there, and with the COVID and everything, we're doing between 450 to 600 families every single Saturday.
Wow.
And it's like, you don't have to sign up. You don't have to fill out any paperwork. You don't have to qualify. If you're hungry and you promise to try to do better, we got you.
Right. That's amazing.
It's cool.
It's people helping people. Everything aside, politics, social issues, when it comes down to it, people in need a friend indeed, It's crazy.
Well, and never but for the grace of God,
Sure.
And especially with this COVID and people being out of work, we don't know who's going to be in a tent next to us next week.
Right. Right. Yeah, no kidding. I certainly wouldn't.
Well, the worst part for me.
Wouldn't want be there, but I would certainly want a group to be around, when the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, well, I'm a veteran, and the thing that really just pisses me off is 2 words that should never be used in one sentence are homeless and veteran.
Absolutely.
And that's beyond a sin. That's a responsibility that this country has. That's a debt we owe. And some of these guys, it's hard because they kind of choose this isolation because they came back a little twisted from Nam. And
sure.
But that should never. They should, if any time they want to get out of those woods, they should be able to just make a call and do it.
Right.
There should never, ever, ever be a homeless veteran. And so that's one and the same issue with me,
Yeah, no doubt. And that's one thing that you had mentioned on your website as well, is one of your initiatives would be to get a shelter built or an existing place renovated for these people.
We have got to have a 24-hour shelter, period. The other night when I was coming out of Sailor's Return, I went over to see my friend Shawnee and drop off a sign. And I wanted to go under where I wasn't supposed to go, underneath the bridge, because I wanted to check out what was happening, And I walked under there, and there was this man there, and his name was William, and he was on a piece of cardboard with no shoes. And he had shoes next to him. They were pretty ratty, but his feet were all swollen. And so I was like, hey, brother, what's going on? And so we talked a little bit, and I found out a little bit about him. And I told, and all I could do was give him a couple bucks. I had some socks in my car, gave him some socks, and went back in and got him some food. So that, I could do that, but that doesn't fix the problem. And that didn't give him a place to stay. And so it's just so frustrating because all I could do was give a guy a piece of paper that said, this is where the Salvation Army is, and if you call me tomorrow, I'll come get you and take you if you can't get there. And these guys, some of them are having some mental health issues, and some of them are just, their brain is fogged from lack of food. And there's some that drink and drug. I mean, they're all
right. It's
all of America lives in the homeless community.
Exactly.
It's just like your neighborhood, except we got groups.
Right. You're absolutely right. They're out and exposed for everyone to see. And we all have our demons, And
if there'd have been a shelter that night, I'd have put his butt in the car, took him to the shelter, and then he'd had a good night's sleep and a good meal and a shower and possibly a chance to get, he might be right back the next day. But if you can save 1 out of 50, it's worth the time.
That's it. To offer somebody an opportunity to reboot and get out on a fresh, at least with a fresh head.
And just to know that somebody gives a damn.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's 90% of it. I've had guys just cry and they're like, man, I don't really care about the food, but nobody's talked to me in 2 weeks. You're the first person that's looked me in the eye.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's dehumanizing.
It is. And unfortunately it becomes, a lot of people will become desensitized to it because you see it so often. It just becomes kind of part of the landscape. Yeah. And to just shoo them away is also dehumanizing. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that happens in Martin County.
Oh my God, you have no idea. Doug Smith lives up on the hill in Jensen Beach, and he's literally called the police on the homeless guys because they started a little fire to cook some hot dogs. And I mean, he's gotten them run out of there all the time. Martin County's answer to the homeless is during the tourist season, put them in squad cars, take them to another county and drop them off and threaten them so they don't come back. And in the summer, if they get in trouble, if when they're not really bothering anybody, they let them hang out in the streets. And we don't, the locals, I guess, we're not going to be that run off by them.
Right.
But as soon as they make the first little mistake, they throw them in jail. Well,
yeah, and the problem with that in that culture is when you get thrown in jail for overnight, the little 24-hour stay, that's a roof over your head and a bologna sandwich, and that's a meal for a lot of people.
And it's so expensive in a jail; it would cost like a third to do that in a shelter, and then you'd have a chance to maybe get them on their meds, and actually do something instead of just store them for a night that costs us 3 times as much as it would to shelter them properly and give them a real chance at help. Yeah. I mean, in the shower, when you go in jail, you don't get a shower, you don't get good food. It's like it really doesn't do much to help the problem at all.
No, Band-Aids. I see a lot of Band-Aids, and I don't see a lot of leadership in terms of fixing that issue.
If it doesn't make this county commission money in their pocket, and if it doesn't turn Martin County into Broward, they're not interested in it.
Which is
period. I mean, that's
just something else too.
I mean, our county commission is not the least bit representative of the people. I mean, look at them; they're all millionaires. They've all got big jobs that they have right along with the county commission salary of $77,000 they get with their own secretary. And teachers don't even make that. That makes me nuts.
Yeah, that's wild.
And the only one that doesn't have a job is our trust fund baby commissioner, Doug Smith, and he's never had a job. So this has been his job for 20 years.
Yeah. I recently saw an interview with you on forgive me, Casey
Ingram.
I watched that. And one thing that she had mentioned, I'm losing my train of thought here, about Doug Smith is that she asked about term limits. Would you be opposed to working on having term limits for commissioners or on the county level?
I'm all for term limits. Matter of fact, the first thing I'm going to do if I get elected is find somebody young, smart, computer savvy that's interested in government, that wants to serve. That's the primary thing. They want to serve. They don't want a career in politics. They want to serve. And then I'm going to make them my assistant. And we're going to learn the process together. We're going to learn all the players. Whoever he or she is will be hooked up. And while we're doing that for the whole 4 years, we're going to be building a political army to make sure that when that time comes, he or she can run.
Right.
I'll be 65 in December. I'm cool with 4 years.
Heard that.
I had a guy last night, though. He goes, but if you're doing a really good job, would you stay 8 years? And I said, well, we could address that then. But going into it, I'm telling you right now, I'm not making a career out of this.
Sure.
And I'm not in it for the money. Hell, I'll take $20,000 a year off the top and give it to the teachers union. I mean, it's not about the money. So you don't have to worry about me being bought and paid for.
Right.
I live in a cottage that used to be an old hotel. It's 800 square feet of dilapidated bliss held together by a bunch of happy termites singing Kumbaya, It's like I drive a 99 Alero. It's got no AC, and up until 2 days ago, one of the windows didn't go down. Thank you, God, for dropping that window.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't even care about the rain. I'm keeping that window down.
Yeah, especially right now. It's not cold outside.
So, I mean, I'm not going to be I'm not your average Joe, and I'm not going to be the person that can be bought and paid for, and I'm not going to be influenced by anything but my fellow citizens, people that really want to get things done the right way. And I want to work with everybody. I want the county commission to look like our town. Our town is black and brown and gay and straight and rich and broke and crazy and Latino and dancers and singers and
you name it.
And we've got all kinds of stuff. And I've never seen anything but rich upper middle class people that don't look like most of the population sitting there.
Yeah, and I feel like on a personal level anyway, politics is not something. I've had several people come to me and say, you should get into politics. You remember things and you're well spoken. I was like, not for me, pal. It's not.
I don't say never because I said never and look what happened to me.
Look at you. Yeah, no, I won't say never, but it's not for me, at least in the capacity that I am currently. But another thing that I noticed about a lot of these positions, not just in the commissioner world, but a lot of the public servant positions in Martin County, St. Lucie County, they run unopposed so often that it blows my mind a little bit. And I get most people think, oh, they're doing an okay job. Everything seems to be fine. But you can't tell me that there's not one person out there that says, I could probably do this a little bit better and create, so, like we had mentioned earlier, holding people that are incumbent accountable and not just being able to sit back and be silent or not answer questions because they are comfortable, 20 years comfortable in their job. I don't know Doug personally. I've never met him face to face.
Most of his constituents haven't.
So I don't have an opportunity to gauge him personally. Maybe he's a lovely man. Maybe he's a terrible person. I don't know. What I do know is 20 years in a public servant position is not healthy for a city, for a county. And I'm very excited that you are bucking the system. And
well, I think there's several reasons why people don't run. First of all, if things aren't affecting you and your life's okay, you tend not to care. And that's the number one thing. The number two thing is it's ridiculously expensive. And I'm running a total grassroots campaign. I make a couple $100, I go buy some shirts. I make a couple $100, I go buy some signs. I make a couple $100. I mean, that's it. That's it. This guy sits in his ivory tower, makes a few phone calls to the firefighters union and all the developers and that. You get $60,000, $70,000, $80,000.
Right.
And it's like, it's difficult to compete with that. And then on top of that, every time anybody's running against Doug, mysteriously their signs disappear.
I've heard that this is also a trend.
And I'm a little guy, man. I mean, I hustle for every nickel I get. I don't have big money in the bank. I get $1,000, it goes right out and pays for stuff. And thank God I'm working with locals that are letting me pay out the t-shirts and the printing and that kind of thing. I may end up going into personal debt for this by the time it's over with. And so just come on, man up, quit taking my damn signs. And I'm only putting them where people ask me in their private property. He's carpet bombing the whole place on county property and every intersection. I'm not doing that. First of all, people don't appreciate it, and second of all, it's wrong. It's like, it's not your,
somehow it's like sanctioned litter. It's my biggest gripe with election season anyway.
And they never pick them up for 6 months.
Sure. Yeah,
and so
maybe they eventually do, but it's certainly not immediately once the elections are concluded.
And see, I know everybody that has got a sign asks for it, and when they get it, when it's over, just throw it away. It's like, I'm never running in 2020 again for anything, so just throw it away.
You never know. Well, I mean, I guess it says 2020. Yeah. So if it said 02, another 100 years, we might be able to, or 20, might be able to reuse it.
But yeah, that's why I'm running, is because somebody needs to. And win, lose, or draw, on August 19th, I'm going to get up and I'm going to roll up my sleeves and go do something to help my community anyway. I can do a lot more if I'm in that position.
Sure.
And, that's just the way it is.
It's awesome. A very important thing to touch on, because this kind of falls in line with political tactics. You would wish that it was legitimate, that somebody was legitimately written in, and on paper it is legitimate, and it's a legitimate thing to happen. Unfortunately, I couldn't even Google this woman that is the write-in and see anything about her. There's clearly no progress in her campaign whatsoever. But the big thing about that is that it closes the primary to only Republican voters, and it totally leaves out any Democrats or independents from being able to participate. So all of a sudden it's this big slant, and a lot of people don't get an opportunity to support you or support Doug for that matter. It's much easier to be incumbent in these types of situations.
It's always the incumbent that does it.
But there is a way to circumvent this. It requires the voters to be a little bit vigilant and take some initiative, but you can go and actually change your party affiliation.
Yes, you can. And changing is easy. But the problem this year, especially with the Trump and Biden thing, it's the R's and D's are harder, stronger, and more set in their ways than they ever have been.
Yeah.
And it's the Democrats are blue, 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 and they don't care. I mean, I've worked with most of the Democrats on the water issues, and they're not supporting me because they are.
All they see is red.
And I'm like, I don't care if you put an XYZ. I don't care if it's the KKK party. I don't care if it's the 666 party. I mean, if we can get the job done, that's what it should matter.
Right.
But if you think that you want to support a clean water candidate, somebody that wants to help the homeless, somebody that's been active in the community for 50 years, then you can support me even if you're not a Republican by going on my website, www.joneeson.com. And I've got a link right there for it.
Right, I did. I saw that link. It's straight away one of the first things you see.
It takes about 3 minutes online. I think you do have to have your driver's license on you to do it. Or you can go down to the Vicki Davis's office, the supervisor of elections. She's down there on MLK, right behind Terra Firmata, and you can just walk in and do it. It doesn't take no time. Unfortunately, it's too late to do any mail-in effort on that because the closing of the deadline is for the 20th, which is Monday.
So it is imperative that if you're going to switch those parties, to do it this weekend. And like you said, the link is on joneeson.com. It's right there. And
I've been getting lots of love. And if that love transfers into votes, I think we can really do this thing.
I agree.
And speaking of which, I got to tell you that I pretty much already feel like a winner in this, no matter how it turns out. For several reasons. Number one, we're getting to ask the hard questions. We may not be getting answers and we may be getting dancing around it, but at least they're out there.
Right.
People can start thinking about it and maybe pay better attention. The second thing is it warms my heart that these 20 and 30 somethings that have never been in part of the process, never voted, and most of them never even registered, are coming up to me going, okay, tell me how to do this. And then they run in and say, Uncle Joe, look, I registered to vote. I'm so excited. I'm going to vote for you. And it's like they're getting involved in the process.
Right.
And they're coming in, they're listening to me. And I tend to pontificate like this even when I'm sitting around having a few beers, as you know.
As I know.
I have strong passion for my stuff. And if you ask me a question, you're stuck for an hour.
One of the many things that I love about you. It's awesome.
And so, it's getting the education out there and hearing them talk to each other about it. And, coming by my house, hey, can I get a sign for my house? And things that they've never even considered before. So that makes me feel like I'm already a winner. And plus the fact that I'm finding so many like-minded people that aren't part of my regular circle that I, expected to be there.
Right.
I mean, there's people out on Hutchinson Island. I did an interview with Hippie. I love their name. It's Hutchinson Island Preservation Initiative.
Amazing.
Yeah, when they said we're hippies, I'm like, I'm down.
Sounds good to me.
No problem. And I went out there and had an interview with them. And then this is one of many interviews that Doug's been invited to that he doesn't. So, they just get me. And they're pretty angry. They're the ones that actually pay 2 additional taxes that the rest of us don't pay. I forget the acronym, MTSB something. But what it is it's a commissioner's discretionary account. And what that means is it goes directly to Doug. And it goes in his pocket to do what he wants to do. And a couple of years ago, a group of those people from the island decided that, well, since he's got all that money, we're going to figure ways to spend it, which, makes sense since that's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So they started another group called the Hutchinson Island Coalition. And they went to Doug and they said, we need like $600,000. And he said, sure, no problem, because he just happened to have at least that much available. And they went and they did a couple projects. They did little drainage things, and I think they might have been part of what helped the Oceanographic Institute. I'm not sure on that. But, they accomplished a few things that were on their list for their, their initiative. And then in 2018, they just disbanded. And nobody's really heard from them since. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows where they stood with the things that they wanted to accomplish. Nobody knows where they stood with the finances. It's just like, oops. And so one of the first questions they asked me was, would you take the commissioner's account? And I was like, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. There shouldn't be a penny that doesn't go into the public coffers, that everybody knows about it, knows where it's being spent, and the people that give you the money get to decide about where that's going.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars over 20 years.
Yeah, I mean
that's a lot of money.
I'm glad that he decided to part with it for
But that portion of it.
Yeah, that portion of it, of course.
Who knows how much there is? It's a discretionary thing.
Right.
And if let's just assume he's been getting, $200,000 a year for 20 years. You know?
Yeah.
He keeps on saying these figures like 2% growth is all we've had over his 20 years. Well, if you take that 2% over 20 years, that's a third of our population.
Right.
That's like 61,000 people or more,
Right.
you know? And it's like, okay, so 2% sounds little, but when you look at 2% and then you figure out how many of those 2% have cars, they go to the bathroom. Then, I mean, now we're talking infrastructure. We don't have the roads to get them from point A to point B. You can't even get to the beach anymore on a nice day.
Oh my gosh.
If you go to the boat ramp, if you don't get there at the crack of dawn, you're going to be parking on the road and getting a ticket because there's no place to put your trailer. And it's, and the schools are antiquated. We've got sewage treatment plants that are older than me, and they're too small to start with. I mean, they were built when I was a kid, and our population was that size.
Oh man!
And now we're taking biosolids out of that and spraying it on the ground. We're either going to plant people or food on it. Either way, I'm not cool with that.
Right. Right.
So what we've been doing is we're like, okay, we're going to build, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do about it. Well, that's not even fair to the people that come down here and want to live here. I mean, you come down here and you spend your life savings to be able to, live in paradise and to be a place that you really thought was beautiful. And you get this great house and you got the pool and you go to the beach a couple times with your kids and the schools are great. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, you're here, you're on your own. And then you say, well, I'd love to go to the beach, but I can't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get my kids ready to go. And, I'd love to be able to, do this and that, but I can't get there because of the roads.
Exactly.
It's, I don't think that's fair either. Our golf courses are way overcrowded. I mean, you can't even hardly get on the golf courses in the summer anymore.
Yeah.
And we can't just keep building. Not to mention one of the big part of our water problem is if we've got more concrete than we do wetlands, that's not going to work.
It's not going to work at all.
And so
it's a massive problem.
So the basic problem that leads to all of the problems in Martin County starts with overpopulation.
Right.
At some point, and I use this analogy a lot of RVers out there now. If you go an RVing and you go up to a campsite, a KOA or whatever you're at, and you say, hey man, I want to spend the night, and they go, oh, well, we're full. That's it.
Right.
You're full.
End of it.
And you can't come back in,
Right.
And so I think maybe we need to adopt that for a while until we figure something out, maybe start saying that one guy can't have 180 acres and put one house, because we want to be able to have other people share paradise.
Right.
So we're going to have smaller lot limits. We're going to have our septics gone and our sewage on. We're going to have to start planning infrastructure before we build the houses, not after. If you're building a housing development that you're targeting people with children, make sure that the developer is responsible for building the schools and making sure that the roads will accommodate the schools and making sure there's school bus stops so the kids aren't in the dark sitting there. Let's do that up front. Let's not build the house and bring all these people here and all these cars here and all the rest of that crap here and then go, oh, yeah, we need a school and we need a water treatment plant.
Sometimes waiting for the census to roll around is not every 10 years or 7 years, the census.
That doesn't help at all.
Yeah. And you're already behind the curve.
And when you're building all these new developments, you don't need a census to tell you what's about to happen.
Exactly.
If you're building 500 houses and they're going to have like 2 to 4 people a house, do the math. We don't need a census. We know what's coming.
Right. And that's a very good point. Being in touch with your area, being in touch with the needs of the area, not just what the people want, but what the area is able to accommodate and what needs to be done to alleviate the problems. Like for the instance, for the bridge access to the island, it's tough.
And you have to look 20 years to 30 and 40 years down the road. I mean, look at our whole water situation started in this century. It's poor planning minute to minute. You got to figure. I mean, now we're rebuilding the Kissimmee the way God had it to start with,
right?
Because Mickey Mouse turned it into a crapshoot, and it used to be a meandering river that actually cleaned things,
right?
So now we're going back and fixing that. We built the Tamiami Trail and all that, and Alligator Alley, and now we're going back and having to fix that because this is ridiculous. Going back and fixing things, I'm so sick of hearing that. How about we fix it right and we plan for the future, and we say at some point, we're out of space.
Right.
Everybody that can live here and not just make it that, okay, you're a billionaire. So the people that have lived here and built this place their whole life and 3 or 4 generations, because you have more money You're going to eminent domain their butt, take their place, and now only rich people are going to live here?
Right.
So who's going to serve you? Who's going to clean your house? Who's going to clean your pool? Who's going to cut your grass? You know, we've all got to live here. And we got to find a way to make it affordable for everybody. And we have to make it so there's quality of life. Right. It can't be a constant fight every day to enjoy paradise.
Sure. And that's the thing. And I feel like the real consensus is that complacency and silence is coming to an end. And I feel like you are a part of that just by bucking the system. You know, like 20 years is enough. It's enough. And like I said, I don't know Doug personally, so I can't speak for him on a personal level, but 20 years in any public servant position is enough. And I don't see what's been done that's been so tremendous to say, oh, we need another 20 years out of you. There changes need to be made, and getting back in touch with the neighborhood, as they say, is important.
Well, and he's completely out of touch with what the locals want. As a matter of fact, there's a man named Ben Sharfy that is now a resident of Jensen Beach. And if you've ever been up and down Indian River Drive, I'm sure you've seen his house. It says Neshoba and big signs on both sides. And he's got the big orcas and all that. And he owns all four corners of the roundabout in Jensen Beach now. And he built that big white monstrosity with that ridiculous dock that he thinks he's going to dredge and bring his yacht in.
Over there by the Hoffman, right?
3 inches of water. This guy, have you seen the dock?
Yes.
The Titanic could park there, man. I mean, it's like, and you can't fish there. There's no water there. It's just some seagrass and a couple oyster beds that need to stay there. And he's going around telling people that now he's already gotten, in Sewell's Point, he's got himself a helicopter pad on his dock. Wow. But he's going to dredge that and bring his yacht in. The guy's crazy. And he's buying up every single thing the minute it goes for sale for way over market price, so there's no competition. He's buying open land, he's buying cottages, he's buying houses, he's buying apartments. And the goal is to destroy everything from Jensen Beach Boulevard all the way to the county line, level it, and put up condos. And Doug Smith has never been to my church in the Jensen Beach Christian Church in the 20 years he has been in office. He's been there once, and that was only to go over and see about buying the church and the property next to it.
Amazing.
And so, you know, that's not what people from Martin County want.
Right.
And it's not what the people moving here want. They come to Jensen Beach because it's old Florida, because it is still cool. They come to Stewart because it is cool with the music and the art and the vibe. That's why people love us. We've lived our whole life for generations building this. I was the class of 73. We did the Save Our Beaches Fund that got all the beach accesses in Martin County.
Wow.
You know, and part of that process, this is an interesting story. In 1973, the beaches in Martin County were still segregated.
No kidding.
And one of the ways that we agreed to get involved in it was because we were going to spearhead it. We said we want one beach that's our beach. It's called Tiger Shores. And we want it to not be segregated. So Tiger Shores was the first not segregated beach in Martin County.
No kidding.
And we started getting that money to buy those accesses when that first permit was pulled out on the island. My dad was the Chamber of Commerce president, and he was quite a bit like me. And he said,
helpful.
He said, those SOBs aren't going to take our beaches. So we changed it from what he initially meant to Save Our Beaches. And we had garage sales and fishing tournaments, and the sailfish regatta started back then. And we generated money. The state gave us money to match it, and feds gave us money, and we did that as a community. Everybody was involved. There wasn't one single person in Martin County that was not involved in that effort, especially the school kids.
Right.
And, you know, people can't just come in and buy that legacy. It's just not fair.
Yeah, I feel like, and of course, I'm not a lawyer, certainly not in real estate of any kind, but I find it very disheartening that, you know, millionaires, billionaires can come in and buy up a whole town with the intentions, verbally or not, to wreck them to the ground and build up condos in a small town like this. I feel like anybody in a position of power should be pushing to protect, and not to say that smart growth isn't important, because it is. Like you said, you mentioned with population growth, things need to happen to accommodate more people, an influx of people. However, I think leveling an entire city that's historic to build up big condos like where Miami Beach is absolutely crazy.
And it's time that I think that our tourism bureau can actually do a better job if we start like promoting more interior positions. I mean, inland we have land,
Right.
and most of it's agriculture and most of it we need. But I mean, we lost all of our orange groves and stuff. That most of that's just empty land.
Yeah.
And let's build things there to attract people to go and live in those areas. Because no matter what, in 2 hours, if you live in the middle of the state, you can be to the beach on either side.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's not like you're not going to. And we've got beautiful lakes all through North Florida. There's all kinds of ways that we can accommodate people's need for enjoying our beautiful state without. You don't have to. Everybody can't be on the beach.
Absolutely.
And the way
correct.
our beaches are going, we're not going to have beaches anyway. The erosion. I mean, we keep renourishing, which is the biggest load of crap on the planet. I mean, we take sand that's not the correct sand. That's never going to stick. It's going to wash out. It's covering up all our warm reefs and killing our reefs. And it's got 20-foot drops to get down to the beach.
No.
The sea turtles can't get up there. The senior citizens can't go for a walk on the beach. And the sand is terrible. When I was a kid, it was white sugar sand. It was beautiful. So, I mean, we just got to quit doing stuff like this for the almighty dollar.
Right.
That's it.
It's just it's Band-Aids on the situations, and they help for the moment, but as we know, Band-Aids do not fix the problem. And in many cases, it presents a bigger problem than if you'd have sorted it out the right way to begin with.
It's going to end up that nobody's going to be able to enjoy it.
Right.
And so even doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you've got sewage front property, it's sewage front property.
Absolutely. That's, and I work on resorts in Vero Beach. I play music out there and do shows up there. And I remember when Red Tide was a massive thing, and it really, for lack of better words, destroys a vibe, and decimates businesses that have been in those spots for decades. And it's because bad water.
Yep.
It's something that we can't afford. And I'm glad that is the forefront of your campaign in running for Martin County Commissioner District 1, which is the Jensen Beach area, if I'm not mistaken,
Jensen
right?
Beach, North River Shores, the island.
Right. Gotcha. Rio, I think, is included in that as well. Nice. Rio. It's either Rio or Rio.
It's Rio.
It's
I'm from here,
So
and I'm telling you, it's Rio, brother.
I know. Anybody that's not local, they'll be like, "Oh, don't they know it's Rio?" No, it's Rio. Absolutely.
Back in the 90s, we used to people that come to. We really didn't have many visitors down here from New York and New Jersey until they finished 95.
Right.
Which I'm still saying that was a mistake. But they'd come down here and they were always, oh man, you guys are so slow and you're so stupid and you're all that. And they're going to show us how to build houses because our little cracker houses are no good. And so all the guys that used to build CBS houses started termite control businesses to take care of all the wood houses they built. I mean, we had bumper stickers that said 95 goes north, and the contractors all had bumper stickers that said, we don't give a damn how you did it up north. It's
right.
I mean, it was a pretty hostile environment, but
what's interesting is that it creates change when people disagree, and when you can sit down and have a conversation or change the balance of power. It's good. It's good anyway, and you never know until it happens which way it goes.
It's definitely time for a change.
But it's definitely time.
Yeah,
it's time.
Enough's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Enough's enough. And that is one of your slogans here. I'm going to put up this graphic. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. So go to joneeson.com. You can find the link there to change your party just for this. And on August 19th, you can change it straight back to wherever, but you got to change it to Republican to vote in this election, to get Joe in there.
And the other thing on my website is since it's so difficult for me to get out and meet people in this COVID age, I've done a series of videos on each one of my top 5 topics, and there's like 3 or 4 video interviews. This one will be up on there probably tomorrow. I did one with Casey Ingram that's up there, the TC Palm interview that was actually Doug and I one-on-one for the first and probably only time. That's up there. Another one I did about the homelessness is up there. There's one I did with Guy Calvert that's up there. So there's all kinds of ways that you can meet me and see what I'm saying, and you can please share it with your friends. Not everybody is on social media.
Right.
So if you guys can take it and share it, in your emails, talking to your neighbors, when you go to church, When you go to the grocery store, just tell people that there's a chance for change, and that you don't have to have the same old.
Yeah.
And if anybody ever has any questions, contact me. I'm on Facebook and on my website, and I keep my phone with me all the time.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put that graphic right back up.
I am accessible as heck.
Yeah, JoNeeson.com. To me, I found that that's the easiest way. It's so inclusive. Everything that you need to know about Jo as a candidate and as a person is there on her website. Contact information, it's all there. Ask her any question that you want.
And if you see me out walking around, man, stop me. I mean, everybody knows what I look like. I mean, just stop me and say, hey, man, I got a question. And we'll sit down, we'll have a beer, we'll talk about it. We might not agree, but we'll have a good time talking about it.
Yep, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree. Yeah. It's okay to disagree as long as you come out of the conversation a bigger person and more informed. And that's important. And keeping people accountable. This is very important to a lot of people.
I really appreciate this opportunity, because this is this is what we need. We need to be able to just tell our story and be able to get it out there so people can make their choices. And even if you don't vote for me, vote anyway. It's important. I mean, guys and girls went over and gave their life so that you could go and pull that lever. So just do it. Just do it for them.
Absolutely.
Do it for the manatee. Do it for the fish. Do it for me.
Do it for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Jo Neeson for Martin County Commissioner, District 1. That election is coming up August 18th, so be ready for that. Again, just to recap, make sure this is a closed primary, so if you're not affiliated with the Republican Party, go and change your affiliation so that you can get in there and vote, and then you can change it back right afterwards to whatever affiliation you prefer. Jo, it's so good to see you. Thanks for coming by the JNC Lounge.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have your celebration here when you get elected. So
sounds like a plan.
Love it. I'm going to put that graphic up one more time for you guys to take a peek. Go see her at JoNeeson.com.